Tule elk are native to California, and Point Reyes is the only national park where they can be found. In last evening's fog, I spotted a herd gathered around their water hole, but it's bone dry. Those who enjoy watching the elk and advocate for them are very worried.
It just makes you upset and angry because our Park Service, in my opinion, could just do so much better.
In fact, most of the water sources for the elk at the Tomales Point Reserve have dried up or are very depleted. Matt Polverosa Klein has spotted half a dozen dead elk in the past few weeks, and he's worried about a repeat of a drought from 5 years ago that killed more than half of the elk here.
This herd, I'm worried about them, especially with the size of the herd and the young that I'm seeing.
The National Park Service declined my request for an interview, but a spokesperson emailed there are a number of seeps and springs in the area that are frequented by the elk, and that their wildlife cameras have spotted elk, including this one, using them. She also said the park has a contingency plan should the water sources completely dry up. The Park Service points to this creek at McClure's Beach as a source, but the advocates tell me the steep ravine can prove dangerous to the elk.
Oh, look at that. Got a dead elk, actually.
Polverosa Klein spotted vultures on the carcass. He believes the elk may have lost her footing and died in the fall.
Just days after they found this tule elk, a female, her bones have been stripped clean.
The hooves are there, the skull and other bones, not much else. The Park Service says there's no sign the elk died in the fall, that the animal bedded down in McClure's Creek and expired for unknown reasons. The advocates are also worried about embers from Marin's Woodward wildfire reaching the elk reserve.
And it's possible, with the way embers can float in the wind, if it did get to that place and grass fires started, it could wipe out all the elk.
The fire is still miles away, but I saw firsthand yesterday how quickly the winds can change and how quickly it can spread.
I just stopped up at the Woodward fire, and turns out that things are getting a little bit hot here. Let me show you. Yeah, the fire's coming towards our vehicles, mine included, so I'm getting out of here.
And if a wildfire starts in the reserve, the elk can't escape. They're penned in by this cattle guard and an 8-foot fence that runs from Tomales Bay to the cliffs by the ocean. As I wrapped up the day, I found this herd just north of the fence, a massive bull elk on the south side. Calling out. He wandered off into the mist on his own. The advocates tell me the Park Service is more concerned about keeping the elk away from cattle ranchers than doing what's best for this California native, and that is allowing them to roam free.
They shouldn't be locked up in a place where there isn't a perennial stream that can provide them water in a safe sense.
I'll report back if the conditions at the reserve worsen.